Hey everyone, just switching over here so we can wait for some more people to arrive. How you doing? And welcome to another night session. I want to take a little bit more a look at the track we started yesterday. I just listened through it and damn, there's some bad stuff in there. Hey Bernie, how you doing? I know I owe you a call. So last week been pretty busy, but beginning of next week we can jump on a call for sure. Pinky promise. Starting to fill up. What have you guys been up to? What have you been doing? How was your day? Or how is your morning? Depending on where you are. Cheers, coffee. Why is my background music not looping? It should be. Let's take that off a little. Hey Pierre, good morning. You know what? Let's just do something here. Fuck it. Okay. So I just listened back into what we did yesterday. Playing Dungeons and Dragons. Awesome. That's great. Isn't it early morning at your place? Dungeons and Dragons in the early morning? Okay, let's quickly listen to what we did yesterday here. I think I definitely need to change the drums there, especially the kick drum. That was a bad idea. But yeah, let's look into that. Hey, Source 4. 1 a.m. in Florida. Wait a second. I gotta read that slowly. How do you, in brackets, if you ever, create consistently good output? So do you mean, do I ever create good output? Or do I ever create consistently output? I'm not really sure if I should be offended by the question. Do you use music theory often? I think... so I'm not classically trained. I obviously know my way around music theory, kind of a little bit in a way, which kind of automatically comes the longer you do it. Source 4, my mini pack helped you out today. Congrats, I appreciate that. Thanks for the sentiment there. Which one? The strings, damage, or the guitars? Which makes me wonder, I should actually do more of these. Do you ever experience mundane output due to burnout? Mundane output, yes, for sure. Due to burnout, I wouldn't say that. I don't think that that I've ever been burned out in that regard. I mean, sometimes you just don't feel like it. And I have been doing that on the stream as well. I've been working on a track for an hour, and afterwards I just said, fuck it, just delete it, because it's shit. And so that happens. And oftentimes when you write shit and delete it and start again, oftentimes then it suddenly gets better. It's like sometimes like a sculptor. You know, well, is it correct to compare that to a sculptor? Sometimes you need to create something to know what you don't want it to be. And then you can go in another direction. So sometimes you build until you realize, well, actually, that's not what I have in mind. So fuck it, start again. And usually that works, at least for me. And but yeah, of course, there are days where you feel like you're just producing shit. Hey, Jason. Hey, Aris. 7, good morning. And yeah, I do experience days where I feel either not feel like writing at all. Hey Steve, morning from Spain. I love that sentiment there. Yeah, usually when you have a musical idea, it is there within you. And when I say sculpting, I mean you cut away everything that doesn't need to be there. But yeah, what I meant is like with sculpting, it's hard to work on something until you realize this is not what you want to do, because you're kind of screwed if you chipped everything away already. But what I meant in music, and especially with digital stuff, it's just easy to do something and start from scratch again. It's easier than with a block of stone where you chip away stuff and then suddenly you realize that shouldn't have been a squirrel. I actually wanted to make an elephant. That may be tougher. How's packing going? Don't get me started. I went through all my shit that I bought here the last 3 years to find all the invoices for custom declarations when the stuff gets shipped to Spain. Because Spain is kind of pretty tough on personal goods, you need to verify that you own that stuff for more than that you have been using the stuff longer than 6 months. Thank God I haven't bought much in the last 6 months. Only the Atom PreSonus. So I'm good. Oh, guys, you're still waiting for the Slate presets. Know what? Actually, I have some time the next couple of days, so let me finish that. I know you guys are waiting for that. The composing course is in the works. I have finished one segment, so what I can tell you, it's will be with 3 fully produced tracks from start to finish, and I go very much in detail on which libraries and why and all that good stuff. And SuperNib, yes, I'm leaving LA. I'm moving to Spain in 4 weeks. And so due to the move and to all the developments, the course will likely be delayed towards the end of the year. Sorry to say, but I just need more time to focus on making it good. Because I definitely want you guys get some value out of that. And but I'm happy with how it's coming along. I can tell you that. It's gonna be good. I think you will dig it. And so yeah, I still have time for packing, so I found a solution to not necessarily have to ship all the stuff like next week, so it will be there in time when I'm moving there, because I found a way to fly my studio over instead of shipping it by ship. So even if I would send it out today, it would be there like by January, which is kind of ridiculous. I cannot sit for 2 months in Spain without my studio. It doesn't work like that. So I'm glad I found a way to be able to ship that over differently. Anyway, let's so much talking here. Let's make music. Shall we? So, but I still wanna give it any particular reason for Spain? Well, look at the weather pattern. I'm in Southern California right now, so at least I want to have something similar when I'm going back to Europe. No, it's a beautiful place where we're going there. It's Costa de la Luz at the southwest corner of Spain. Little nice town called Colnil de la Frontera. At least close by there. And yeah, it's beautiful. I think I'm gonna love it there. Please excuse that shitty drum kit that's coming in. I mean, I can mute the drums. that's better. So, I mean, I had that idea of using like a trap groove or something like something different than the typical epic percussion stuff. But when I listened it before the stream, I just thought to myself, that sounds like shit. And what do we do when it sounds like shit? We say remove track and instrument. Bye-bye. And we can remove that as well. Yeah, cinematic trap, but I think I just have to acknowledge the fact that trap may not be my forte, so to say. California is always on goddamn fire. Yeah, that's true. I mean, we're pretty good here where I am, so Orange County has not been affected so far, besides from a few days of very bad smoke in the air. But generally speaking, we are not much affected, as definitely not as much as the northern parts of California are. These guys really are struggling over there. So at Goldforce, yeah, I know. I just don't like the idea of the trap groove overall there. So gonna do something else here. Maybe something loop based. I mean, we could also check out, there's shit ton of percussion stuff in Ethera as well, so maybe we should actually look at that. Let's try the, I don't know where, I need to check that out. It's either in the action synth, drum slow tempo, we have slow drum stuff. No, that sounds like everything is the same. Hybrid. That is this stuff. I know that there's a bunch of drum loops, but I gotta find them. Percussion, maybe. Hybrid loop. I mean, it's good to know that that stuff is in there. I'm just going through some stuff here, see if I find something that... I have to be honest, some of that stuff I've never heard before. Never really digged into the action synth stuff. Oh wow. I like that. Let's see if that fits. Why is there a delay? Let's do a 4-bar loop here. Just want to make sure that this is in time. Yeah, that works. So right now, this is what we have. Okay, that definitely needs a little bit more. Save might be a good idea as well. So, Ethera action synth. Single layer percussion. So what else we have? I like that one. Let's put that on top. And what we could do in the beginning here is just use like this. Have a little bit of a I think there's this strange crash sound. I think that's on this loop. I don't like that one. So either I just re-trigger I think that's better. Just compare the second one. Yeah, I think I like it better without that crash. If that even stays till the end. Moin Jörg! I want to add another custom non-looped layer. Not custom, just a different instrument. And actually, let's get rid of the browser, so that's better. So we are going to use damage. Maybe we find some nice stuff there. Some more mid percussion. I said mid. I strongly urge myself to work on a MIDI pack for damage too. It's about time. What was that? Doll? Tabukas. Oh, it's a different tempo. Oh. Oh, by the way, give me a keyboard. Damn! Why do I suck that bad? It's way too fast. Need to play that slower. I have some rhythm in mind, but I don't know if that works. Let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course not. 2, 3, 4. I don't know, I think that was shit. Oh, damn. Let's see. Quantize is your friend. Nope. Oh, that's why. There we go. Okay, let's try to spice that up a little. Dum 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 dum. God. Something like that. Second part was better than the first. Okay, back to original tempo. Oops. It's a little bit different, but let's try that. Has a nice vibe. Hey, Meat Puppet. Again, awesome name there. Let's add on some high percussion. I had no settings here. Does it sound better? Sounds a little bit more contained. Maybe some delay. Nah, not as much. Technically, yes, it is my third stream, but the first stream was a hands-on and we didn't write shit with it. Yesterday I want to write with something and featuring just a lot of the library because, yeah, that's true. I do like it very much. There's a ton of good stuff in there, and it actually helps me as well to just explore the library a little bit because there's just so fucking much content in there that I just loaded the 1 instead of the 2. So here's where also a lot of drum loops and stuff is in. So it helps me to dig through the library, and if I could do that on my own, of course, but I could also stream it, and if you want to, you can watch it. That is kind of more the kick that I was looking for yesterday. I would actually send that to drums. Remove that. That is actually kind of what I had in mind yesterday. I want to try to build my own groove. Damn it. Okay, I found the mute button before I cuff your ears off. So that is what is it called? Action Synth 1. Action Synth 1 drum loops. So let's record that quickly. Letting that run for 8 bars because I don't know how long the loop is. Could be that it repeats after. Have you tried MIDI Catch? It's free. What is MIDI Catch? No, I have not heard about that. MIDI Catch. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the guys over at Studio One a menu bar app that captures every note you play. Free menu bar app that captures every note you play, whether your DAW is recording or not. Oh, wow. Let's quickly check that out together, shall we? Maybe there is something very usable. I mean, this is one of the pet peeves I have with Studio One, that this is still not working.
Let's open.
Okay, let's
I've
see
just
what he
downloaded
has
the
to
latest
say.
version of MIDI Catch. Let's open it. As you can see, a new icon appears in the menu bar. We can see that MIDI Catch has been recording for 5 or 6 seconds. Ableton, my DAW of choice, is not recording. However, MIDI Catch is always recording. Let's see what happens when I play a few notes. Of course, Ableton did not respond. It was not recording. But let's look at what happens when we open up MIDI Catch. There's a new file at the top of the list. Let's try dragging this into Ableton. If we play this back...
Oh, holy shit. Okay, let's try that out. I mean, it's always like last time when Studio One didn't have the negative track delay and Alex finally posted a solution with that minus delay plugin. And we did everything we could. We put it into the template. It worked great. We created a list with all the track delay settings for different libraries. And like 5 days later, Studio One did the update and had the track delay fixed. Yay! So maybe if I install that today and try to get it working, maybe Studio One will have. Now I closed the website, MIDI Catch. Maybe Studio One will then deliver an update in the next couple of days that now includes retrospective record. Would be awesome, huh? So let's download this baby. It's a PC installer, so that should work. Let's actually put it on the downloads. Save. MIDI Catch. So where is it? On the downloads, of course. That's what I said. Open folder. I don't know if I want to show all my downloads. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. I have no idea. Where is MIDI Catch? It's still downloading? No. Oh, there we go. Now it is done. Extract to MIDI Catch. Holy mackerel, how many files are there? Oh, it's a 500 megabyte download? Are you kidding me? And it's a 32-bit application. I don't know if that works as it should. MIDI Catch Exe. Let's run this as admin. Should quickly give you a black screen. Should be back in a second. Of course! Yeah, it's not a... Okay. I think the problem is that Win 10 in the latest update only runs 64-bit. Or maybe because I started as admin. Let's see if I don't run it as admin. No, same thing. So, doesn't seem to run under Windows. MIDI Catch. And there's not much more information there. Okay, I'm gonna look into that later, not now. Maybe I don't have Java installed, that can be. So I need to look into that a little later. I mean, on the other hand, we have the resources. There's an evil plans txt. I mean, I like the name of the file, evil plans txt. So, and that is how easy you can get yourself a virus if you don't. Just simply download some random file from the internet and install it without even thinking about it. So that was very clever, boy. Very clever. No, so I'm pretty sure there's no virus in that. It sounds very reasonable, but just not working for me at the moment. I do like the drum groove now compared to yesterday. I think I need to stop the loop. Yeah, it's running too long. That's why it didn't trigger again. Okay, that sounds reasonably good. And we need some transitions. I don't know. Does any one of you know if Ethera has transitional sounds as well, like whooshes and swooshes and cymbals and stuff like that? I am not sure. So let's figure it out, shall we? Save. Oh. If anywhere, it's likely going to be found in the core synth. So one had so trailer kit, Brahms, trailer kit, textures and thank you, rising and sirens, percussion and hit, electro kit, epic big stomp, epic combo. We have, did you see that? We have even violin percussion. Okay, this doesn't convince me at all so much. Maybe reverse, pulse and rise. We have rising. Maybe reverse helps us to get where we need to get. Okay, no, it's not. Okay, it's not what I had in mind. So, okay, unless I am mistaken and there is some stuff like that in here. Percussion and hit. By the way, what is kit? Cinematic signature. It's... Oh, that's even great for some synthwave stuff. Still no reverse rising type of stuff or whooshes. So if anyone has an idea, if there's some stuff like that in there, if not, then we just use another library. Fuck it! Which key are we in? A minor. Actually, let's do just one bar and tail. And put a bit of reverb on there. That sounds reasonably good. Yep. And just to spice things up, we can just use a different one the next time, and maybe a third one the next time, just randomly selecting other samples here. Just want to make sure that the beginning is sitting on A. There we go. So that we have the correct key. Let's see, something is sneaking quite a bit of CPU. Oh wow, Vox Effects is sneaking like 36%. Okay, and that is using the same patch over and over, I think. Yeah. And the first one's different. Easy. So what I'm gonna do, well, I just freeze it. Oh god. How do you freeze in Studio One? Never did that before. I mean, I could bounce to audio as well. Maybe that's even faster. Bounce. Okay. Oh, it bounced 3 times. Why is there no signal here? What's going on? Oh, it's just very, very quiet. So that means I can deactivate this guy. And immediately we have a ton of CPU freed up. So, again. Yeah, you can see in the CPU here the Brahms take quite a bit as well. Okay, so all I gotta do is take this, just the first one. So just take the first one and bounce to new track. That means I can move that over, move that over, move that over, and deactivate the original one. Honestly, I think there's a way to freeze a track as well. So if we look at the synth up, for example, that's another one that's taking quite a good chunk of CPU power. Again, I mentioned that in the first stream as well. I mean, I have a decent CPU, but some of the patches are very demanding, actually, on the CPU. Lock track? No, lock track is just unlock track. Well, RTFM. Studio 1.5 freeze track. How to freeze tracks.
Hi there, my name is Gregor Bayerle and I'm software specialist here at Presonus, and I'm going to show you how to freeze and recall your tracks in 60 seconds or less. So in this example, I have a massive production open here with tons of tracks, quite a lot of strain on my CPU, as you can see in the lower left. In order to minimize the strain on my CPU, it's best practice to transform this instrument track into a rendered audio track that's just being played back and doesn't have to be calculated at the same time by our system. This is called freezing or transform in Studio One. To transform, I simply right-click on the track and choose Transform to Audio.
Who the fuck can know that that is not called freeze, but transform? Transform to audio track. Well, you could have known that, Morin. Talking to myself here. Render inserts? No, I don't want to render inserts. Preserve instrument track state. Remove instrument. Yeah, let's do this. Sorry for the long break there. So yeah, you can not. Hey, Blue Oceans. And well, what's happening now? Did Studio One crash now? Hello? Earth to Studio One. No reaction there. Okay, looks like Transform does crash the whole thing. Yep, Studio One is dead. Morning, Rob. Why is everyone saying I've been on the library for days? I did a 1.5 hour stream yesterday trying to build a track with it, and I keep going with that today. So yes, I will see you in hopefully just a second. Gotta restart Studio One. Okay, there we go again. So, what do we learn? Freezing crashes. Well, fuck you, then we don't freeze. Then we just activate and deactivate. At least that does not crash. So we got to do the same thing again. So I have to bounce this to on. I have indeed not heard yet the demo. I read about it on VI Control, but I have not heard the demos yet. So I got to listen to that. But yeah, looking forward to Centauri Strings 2. Hopefully I can do a stream with that once it's out. So deactivate this guy, save, 1, 2, and actually that gives me a good moment to showcase something. I did a stream like years ago on that topic, how to create a seamless loop that truly is seamless with instruments that have like a tail or a delay, like this one. So, I want to have this part as a loop, repeating and repeating without any audible, transitions. So, when let me show you what happens when I take just that one thing and say do an audio render of this. So now we have that in audio. You know the drill. So, but what happens when you loop this? That sounds like shit. So there's an audible loop point. So to avoid any of this, what you gotta do is, actually let's undo this. You take the same loop twice. Actually let's merge this. You take the same loop twice, put the trigger around and say bounce this to. So now we have the same loop twice. It starts here. Thank you, Blue Oceans, very much appreciated. So when I cut that in the middle, so we have the first loop starting off here, and we have the second loop starting off here. And you hear that already, that it sounds different in the beginning. So, and what you need to know is right in the middle, they sound exactly the same. So what I do is, if I want to have a seamless loop, is cut the first loop in the middle and cut the second loop in the middle. Then I get rid of the first part and move that second part to the beginning. By doing so, this end goes back to this beginning. Well, now it does. And when I now loop this, listen to that. Especially now, listen to the going back to the beginning. So now there's no audible loop point anymore. So if you want to have a ever ongoing loop without any audible loop points, thank you, Felshout. Very much appreciate. I very much appreciate you subscribing to my channel. Thank you. So double the loop, cut it in the middle, cut each section in the middle and bring the beginning of the second loop into the front. That way you have an ever ongoing loop that does not give you any audible artifacts. That does work in any DAW. It's an audio thing. It's not DAW related. So, and also the only thing where you don't want to have that is like in the beginning. Because in the beginning, let's mute this here. In the beginning, you don't want to have this looping sound. So, but you still have that beginning part. You have that here. So you can technically cut that. Or you can technically delete the whole first section and use the first full render from the loop here. So you start without the hangover from the end of the loop. And then it goes here. Now we go into the endless loop, so to say. OBN Shiba, hi and welcome. This system is an Intel i9 9900K with 64 gigabytes of RAM. If you're interested in running a similar template, there is actually, you find in the video description below, you find links to my shop. I do sell, like, it's called a quick load template. That is actually very CPU and resources efficient. So that also runs on lower spec systems because it technically does not load samples from the get-go, but empty contact instances. So, and everything is pre-routed and pre-set up. So you can check that out in the links below if you're interested. So let's play that back. Now we should at least not have any more audio issues because all the tracks that caused some serious havoc on the CPU are muted. The only thing I need to do is... No, I don't even need to put the reverb on there. I just need to deactivate that track. So let's bring that back to the beginning. Hey 007, morning. And I have a feeling that looks way more friendly on the CPU. I still hear some like kind of clicking noise, but I think that's coming from the drums somewhere. And I pretty much assume it's the high elements of the darbuka here. So let's bring these down a little bit. That sounds better. But again, I also want to make sure that it's not coming from somewhere else. Okay, the clicks are actually in the solo box here. Why is that? Let's maybe turn the release a little bit up. Does that help? I have the feeling that the clicks occur when I change the note. No. I think it's the guttural sound he makes at the end of the phrase. I'm not really sure if that's the reason, but I definitely can hear it underneath the whole mix. Forgot the drums. I mean, maybe we can bury it a little bit underneath the drums. Actually, let's bring in the drum loop only on the second repetition. And I need to dig deeper into that click sound on the samples here. I mean, I could also try to get rid of the rhythm there and try another one. I like that better. At least we don't have a click sound there. So let's see how that sounds underneath. Oh wow, I like that. So I could keep going with that, get rid of the synth here, maybe do a fade out on this one, and just do the solo vocal, some different lines in the end there. Just changing it up on the last one. just on the last run through, changing the chords a little bit. And just need another 2 syllables or phrases. Better. Oh wow. Didn't know there were vocals as well. Or lyrics. I don't want to go with lyrics there. Let's try these last 2. And we could bring in our good friend again. So that we have no, let's keep that ringing on the maybe just so where are we at in terms of time? Looking at 2 minutes already, and I intentionally didn't change the overall feel of the cue because I felt it feels better to keep going with that, with the whole flow and feel. Yeah, actually I want to switch off the plug-in internal sound effects. Actually, I like the guitar to keep going there, but maybe quieter. Hey Kevin, nice to see you. Hey Leveler. I could do this on the last one. Then I could put just the Brahm in the end again. Ending that here. Duplicate this guy again. That was some weird afterthought. Why is that? Just the first one? No, this one. That sounds nice. One bar guitar. One bar bass. And the guitar. Safe might be a good idea. There was one crash, but actually not on Slate, but on freezing a track. So freezing a track caused Studio One to crash. But I realized that I do have one Slate somewhere here in the session. I actually like that to kind of but I need to bring in the sense. And what I want to do with that part as well is just bring in a simple kilohertz filter. Save. And I want to write the kilohertz cutoff. So we can put that there. So then we have and I want to increase the reverb as we go along. So I'm gonna add reverb send level. And since that is at 0, like this. So I like that ending sound there, and maybe we can add on the pad. Okay, let's try this. Musictron, do you mix as you go? Pretty much, yes. That's what I usually do. It's just something different, like this. The only thing I'm gonna make sure is that in the beginning here we have mod wheel all the way up. Oh, we have. Well, at least we have some style there, some data. I want to do the roll again towards the end here, and maybe towards this end here as well. Yeah. Rob, just a snippet of your move to Spain. Is it work related, since you said that in some cases California could be a good place for a movie, TV, game composer? Don't get me started. The thing is that we had that discussion the other day on this channel as well. So quick explanation. I mean, I often hear the question: do you need to be in California and LA to get somewhere in the music industry? And I mean, COVID has changed a lot throughout the world and also here. And right now, as it is now, there is no justification to pay these ridiculous Californian housing prices, which are understandable because there's a shortage of housing, so that's why the prices are fucking expensive. Usually the justification of paying that amount of money to live here is to go out into the wild, go into the city, go to events which happened to have more than regularly, all the time. There have been any type of media-related events, premieres, showcases. So there was a reason to be around, because there was no other place like that in the world where you just stumble upon the street and meet people. And if you have kids here, get your kids to school, and your kid's best friend's father is suddenly a director, and you get to meet each other and you get invited to a barbecue and meet a filmmaker. You meet your possible future assistant, or you meet someone that you could work for. So the density of networking possibilities, that was pretty much everything LA was about, or is about. And plainly said, COVID fucking changed that for the very, very worst, because no events, no meetings, no theaters. I mean, if you don't know, California is still under pretty much lockdown. So it's only the outside areas that's like, I am in Orange County, a little bit south. So it's only these areas that kind of slowly start to reopen, and they have a tier system depending on how many cases and stuff like that. So it's only now after 6 months that the parks consider reopening, like with heavy safety measures and not many people coming in. As far as I can remember, I think cinemas have been closed or have reopened only 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. I'm not really sure. But the thing is that all the reasons why you came to LA were since March pretty much eradicated from the face of the earth here. And that means at some point you just got to make a decision. So as soon as this situation is going on in the world with the virus and COVID and everything that goes along with it, and we are not even in the winter season now, so we really have to look at the data in the next 6-9 months, how this whole thing develops. I personally strongly believe that there will be not much change till the end of 2021. So there is just, at the moment, it's very tough to say, unless you have a fucking huge bank account and you don't worry about paying rent, or you have a house that you own here. Then you should be worried about the fires, by the way. It's hard and tough to find a reason to stay here. I mean, I have my personal reasons as well to move back to Europe, because I mentioned that in the other stream as well. It's just been ages since I've seen my kids. And I really miss them a lot. They should have been with me since July 2020. So the plan was to have them here for a year from summer on. And obviously COVID kicked that off the bucket list as well. So it's, for me, it's a necessity to go back to Europe. And also, you also have to keep in mind that getting an O1, the O1 visa that I am here with as well, you get this for 3 years, and then you need to extend. And back in the days, it was like you get the O1 one time, you get the approval, like being an alien with extraordinary ability. That's what it's called, like. That's for sports, musicians, anything art related. That's the O1B, and then there's the O1A for everything science related. So if you just a very bright bulb in the field, then you have a good chance, had a good chance of getting an O1 and working in the US in your field of expertise. And back then it was like you get the O1 and then you can, after 3 years, you can extend it if you can verify that you have work for the next 3 years. And I know people here in LA who have been living here on an O1 for like 25 years or whatever, because they just always extended the O1 for another 3 years. And I was looking at my own extension as well recently, and had a talk with my lawyer. And these situations have significantly changed due to the American politics as well. So I don't know if you followed along with that, but the Orange Peach in charge has pretty much mowed down any attempt of getting foreigners into the country, no matter what type of job it is related to. So all the H-1B visas, for example, there are no H-1B visas right now that are going out or can be admissioned. Is that the word? And right now, it's not like it was in earlier days that you simply extend your O1 based on the work that you are going to have in the possible work that you're going to have in the future 3 years. No, now it is pretty much a full-blown new O1 application. So it doesn't matter if you already got your approval for being an alien with extraordinary ability in your field of expertise. But you have to prove the whole thing again. So the whole process that I went through 4 years ago to get my O1. And there we go again. Why is the music not running? Sorry. So there was another thing, and there's quite a hefty cost involved as well. So getting an O1 has become very much tougher than it was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Well, pretty much pre-Orange had. And so all these reasons for me led to only one conclusion. So I gotta move back to Europe. Yeah, that extraordinary ability thing is kind of something. Well, at least I got the confirmation once for me that I had enough extraordinary ability to be admissioned and to be allowed to work for 3 years in the US. And don't get me wrong, I'm totally thankful for the time that I had in California. And I met my business partner, we built DocuScores together, and we will keep building that. And actually, it's good for the company because I can take care of the European side of things and get in touch with clients there while he is staying in LA and doing the business from here. And honestly, I'm very much looking forward to being back in Europe again. Obviously, the most thing I'm looking forward is to finally get my kids in my arms again. But it's only 12 more weeks. They will be with me for New Year's Eve, so that will be great. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. 4 more weeks till I move. So I try to keep the studio back up and running as long as I can. But definitely there will be a break with everything from approximately October 30th till November 15th, roundabout. If you drive by car to Berlin, just wave if you pass my house. Where is your house, 7? That's the question. But on the way from Spain to Berlin, if you drive, I assume somewhere either Bavaria or, well, something along the way there. But I actually prefer to fly. So Malaga to Berlin is like 19 euros one way. So that is crazy cheap to go there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to be there. It's gonna be fun. And I have a bigger room, so I can have a nice studio there. We got the house already, so that is all sorted. And 7, yeah, okay, do that. Tell me on Discord. I honestly have not really thought about how I do the night stream sessions, but yeah, likely there will be some change. I mean, the main hands-ons, etc., will likely happen like 8 p.m. German time, so it will be still 11 a.m. LA time. But yes, I'm moving to Spain, not Germany, because besides the fact of wanting to live in LA and working here and being on the spot here, California and its weather patterns were another reason to move away from Germany. So honestly, I just plainly fucking hate the German weather. It's like, it's fine 3 months of the year, or actually 2 months of the year, like July, August, you burn your ass off. And the other time it's either too cold or too wet or too something, but not nice. So, will I make streams at prime time then? We will figure all that out once I'm over there. And I guess I need a week or two to adjust to the time zone difference. And so yeah, Spain was the logical decision to keep to the weather patterns that I have learned to love here in California. So it's sun all year round. November and January are a little bit colder, but no snow. And so yeah, it's great there. It's very nice, and it's close by to Germany, so it's 1 hour 50 minutes flight, you know, and not like 24 hours trip overseas. So there are advantages there, and I can do some more stuff in Europe. And once this whole pandemic thing is over, you can always, if there's work lined up or anything, you can always take a trip to LA. So that's another thing. But that will, in my opinion, I think it will take some time till LA in any kind of way gets back to the shape it was before the pandemic. So we will see. But right now, don't know if I can say that on stream. Always when I talk with Ram, I always say LA right now is dead meat. It's like it's a ghost town. France have good weather. Yeah, at least in the south, I guess. Close to the Pyrenees. But yeah, Spain is... we found a beautiful spot there and a beautiful place, so I'm looking forward to that. So let's quickly give a last listen to the cue from today. Maybe treat the master a little bit. The software for the keyboard is called Virtual Piano MIDI Keyboard. Posting the link in the chat. Okay, let's do a little bit of master treatment. Just so when I'm looking at the levels right now, not right now, let's look at the levels together. So I wouldn't actually do, oh, that, by the way, that's where I had the virtual mix rack. The only one in the whole track. my favorite mastering compressor ever, the Shadow Hills, with a medium mastering setting. If you compare that A-B, that's without. So, and then I like to give a little bit of shine to the high end through Kush through Kush Audio's Clariphonic. Where do you live? No, where do you love? I mean, where do you live? Nice. So let's try some sheen and some opening. I mean, you gotta be so fucking careful with a clariphonic. You can overdo it so fast. So I have learned to be extremely cautious with the Kush audio. Another great contender for the Kush is instead of the clariphonic is the Soundtoy CQ. That one is great on high end as well. And this one can have a little more, you can push that a little more. So that is another possibility. And also if you have the virtual mix rack, what's really great for some air, as the name implies, is the Slate Air. But yeah, my absolute favorite is for sure the clariphonic. When you compare that A-B, Mark is good for high end as well, that's true. Birdicus asks, what actually does a compressor do? Do it just make things quieter so noise levels don't peak? No. Okay, let me try to... Oh god, fast explanation of what a compressor does. A compressor is there to even out volume differences in a signal. You don't want to have like the sound sausage, but you also don't want to have extreme jumps in volume in a track. Back in the day, when people mixed on hardware and with actual faders, good mixers matched the track and actually wrote the faders, like writing the faders. That's where it's coming from. They wrote the faders with the track. So when you have, for example, a vocal, and a vocal is singing something in a verse, very quiet and whispery, and suddenly there's a jump and there's a belting sound from the vocals. So you have quiet. Let me do this. No, actually, no music, but bigger screen. So you have quiet, a quiet audio signal, and then you have a sudden burst. So what you want to do is kind of limit the difference between these two dynamics to make it a little more even. So a compressor is not necessarily about making things quieter. That can happen in the process of compressing, that the overall signal is quieter. Therefore, you have can adjust it with the output to bring it back to level. But the overall aim is you have a signal that has a certain amplitude, and suddenly you have a large amplitude in the audio, and the compressor determines when that large spike in the amplitude needs to be pushed down. So it compresses the volume and brings it down. So that way the difference between the quiet and the loud signal gets closer, because the quiet signal stays here, but the loud signal goes down. So the compressor in the end is nothing more than a automated fader volume writing. So back in the day, a mixer would manually bring the fader a little bit down when that loud note came, or when that loud vocal hit the track, and then bring it back up when it was done. So, and the compressor automates that process by detecting the signal. So the loud part goes down, the quiet part stays here. Okay, trying to see what I'm doing here. And in the end, then you can bring the whole thing up. So you get overall louder, more contained signal. That's the basic principle of compressor. And then there's very different ways of how you can use that in a mix. Kevin said that he doesn't hear anything different in the Shadow Hills. This is a little bit special because these are two different compressors in parallel. That it's a mastering compressor. It's emulated after the hardware, and there is some magic behind the black metal plate inside that I also do not understand. But the thing is, I love this mastering medium preset, and it really just glues the whole mix together. So when you A/B that with turning it off and on, I mean, besides the fact that it turns a little louder, because the human ear always perceives the louder as better. Hey, Stefano! Nice to have you around. I just played around a little with your new baby. And so the human ear always perceives louder as better, but nevertheless, I can explain it. It does some magic to it that just makes the whole mix sit better together. Classically, you say it glues the mix together. So, yeah, I hope that explained that a little bit. There's way much more to it, what it can do, but at least it gives you a starting idea. So think of a mixer fader and bringing it down a bit when the signal gets too loud, and bringing it up again when the signal is back to normal level. So let's play that again. And the last thing that I would do on the master is where is it? There we go. It's just to put a like a limiter in the end of the chain. And on this one, I would rather go with a dynamic setting, I guess. A limiter is pretty much a limiter is a compressor that I didn't talk about the individual functions of a compressor, but there is also the ratio pretty much determines how much that signal that is too loud gets pushed down. And the limiter has a ceiling where no signal shall pass. So think of Gandalf, you shall not pass. No level at all can pass that threshold that you set in the limiter. And that means you can, for example, cut all the peaks at -3 dB. So nothing gets above -3, and then you can bring up the whole mix by by 2.9 dB, for example. So you have the whole mix sitting at -0.1 dB, and that is what makes it appear louder, and that's how you get to these radio ready levels in the mix. So, for example, Spotify limits the so-called LUFS to that is the average loudness, so to say, of your track. Limits that to -14. A club track in a dance, so an EDM track, sits rather at between -9 and -6, so it's compressed till death, so to say. And you want to find like a good middle ground. We should do a dedicated session just on audio compression and limiting and stuff like that, because it's just too much to put that into 10 minutes. But in the end, a limiter is a compressor as well, but it's hard cut, so there's no exception. You set a line and no signal goes above that, and then you can push the whole thing. So we're going back to less than -14. So I try to hit like not go too much above -14 in the loudest part of the track if I aim for a decent volume at like Spotify, etc. Or at least for TV and production music. For other releases like trailer music, I tend to mix to oh, sorry, I'm in the way. There we go. So I tend to, when I mix my own stuff, I tend to go to -11, -10 LUFS, so make it a little bit louder, but also not push it the way a lot of releases out there are pushed. I don't like that. So I prefer to have some dynamics in the master still. I do use EQ in the individual tracks where needed, but not everywhere. So, for example, on these damaged darbukas, because they sound great as they are, I just use some compression, no EQ at all. And the compressor just glues the performance a little bit together. Then there are others. Where do I have actually some stuff going on? You see, if there are no inserts, I did not change anything in the EQ. So I pretty much used all the percussion stuff as it is. I'm actually surprised I didn't use any EQ on the percussion. So if you listen to the percussion on its own, I also have to say that I strongly believe that a lot of mixing happens already in the arrangement phase. So I don't put 3 low-end instruments into a mix that fight for the same frequency space, because that will get you in trouble. Simple as that. So already at the sound selection stage, I try to select sounds that work with each other and that complement each other. So, and this is something that is, in my opinion, very hard to explain or to teach, because this is something, I think this is a skill that you develop over time, doing and doing and doing it. And you it goes hand in hand with orchestration. It goes hand in hand with arranging stuff. And when I look at this track, actually I want to check the curve for the track. So let's add what I use for that is the isotope. Tonal balance control. So this guy. I have the bass heavy setting. Obviously right now there's not much high-end information, that's why it's pretty down here. Can very clearly see the vocal here. So judging by this curve, the vocal would stick out way too much and be overly present, but actually I intend to have it like that because I want to have that as a solo vocal on top. I should tame the bass end a little more. But judging by my speaker, by my headphones, I actually like the way it sounds. So it's not always just about the visual tools. They can help you in the process, but sometimes you also just gotta trust your ears. And if you like what you hear, if it sounds good, it is good, you know? But yeah, one could argue that low end boom on the drum loop is a little bit overbearing. So what I would do for this is to bring in the Pro MB, and I would try to tame that frequency range just a little bit. Not this one. How much does gear matter for a good mix? That's a good question. You can do a solid good mix with stock plugins if you know why you use the tools. So it's not a question of having the best and latest plugins. You can do a fantastic mix by just using EQ, compression, and maybe a bit of reverb. So that can help you a ton to get from one step to the other. And but the question is not which tools you use, but why you use them. So why do you EQ in certain situations? Why do you compress in certain situations? And you mean how much does hardware gear matter for a good mix? I mean, I'm working completely in the box, so I don't know if gear is that essential for a mix. I mean, good headphones or good speakers is essential, and treating your room a little bit to get a nice sound in the room. Yeah, I mean, this is where it gets crucial, and the speakers are not even that important. The quality of the speakers. I mean, you can have $100 speakers or you can have $10,000 speakers. Even more important is the way the room reacts to your speakers. So I'm in a very small room, so I didn't need to do too much treatment, but I have some acoustic panels on the wall right in front of me. I have some diffusers at the back that scatter the sound a little bit. That only applies to the fact when I'm working with my speakers. The most important thing is actually that you get used to your listening situation. So you need to listen to the tracks that you like, to your favorite tunes, so you know how your room sounds like. A friend of mine said you can mix on a kitchen radio if you know and are familiar with the sound. Obviously, I would put a question mark behind that for some parts, because there are just some frequencies that a kitchen radio cannot transmit, so you cannot hear them. And if you cannot hear certain frequencies, you will have a hard time to adjust them unless you have a visual representation. It's not necessarily said that you can have a better mix with a paid plugin or with free plugins. There are amazingly good free plugins out there. The stock plugins of most DAWs get you 95% to a finished mix if you know how to use them. A lot of third-party plugins do fancy, good-looking graphics and stuff to make it look nice. And I mean, truth be told, FabFilter is one of the most amazing interfaces that I know of. It's actually clean, but it's very... I just like it, so it's great to work with. Other people prefer to have these analog emulations on there, like looking like the real hardware, or like Slate does here, like having knobs and stuff like that. There is so much stuff out there. FabFolder, there we go. But I strongly believe that if you know what you're doing, stock plugins can you get, well, maybe not 95, but 90% of the way. And then third-party plugins come in for the purpose of coloring the sound in a certain way that we usually receive as pleasant to the ear, creating harmonics on top. I mean, there's a reason why running gear through hardware sounds usually better than straight out of the DAW. And there are enough plugins out there that emulate that kind of behavior, running the signal through analog circuitry. Prices for looking part purpose is the same on free and priced versions. The purpose is always the same. The purpose is just to... That's why an equalizer, for example, is called equalizer, is to equalize the whole signal chain and to make it work with each other. So usually when a guitar is too bass heavy and you can't hear the bass, an equalizer is to cut out a little bit of the bass from the guitars to make room for the other instrument. You want to have an evenly spread out frequency spectrum and be able to locate different instruments in the mix. So, and if one instrument is hiding another because they're fighting in the same frequency range, the first thing is actually not to use an EQ, but to try to see if you can fix it in the arrangement. So if a guitar solo is running at the same time as a vocal and they play in the same frequency range, it might be a good idea to actually just move the guitar solo into a different spot, different position in the song where there is no vocal going on, you know? So that is the first thing, and the same applies to production in the PC with production music and things like that, where you don't have a band recorded. But for me, it's a natural process already in the sound selection stage, and what instrument do I use next to determine, does it interfere with anything I have already done, or is that frequency range already covered by a certain type of instrument? So when I bring in something new, can I move that somewhere else in terms of frequency range to make it audible? Or do I even need that instrument at that point in time? Or do I maybe bring that in later down the line when there is more space for it? So I'm a big fan of spacious arrangements where there's room for the instruments to shine, so to say. So for example, that first hit here where the drums come in. I mean, I do like the fact how the Gran Casa sounds here. And we can hear there's a lot of low-end rumble going on already, but in the full scope of the mix, I actually feel that there is some low-end information missing. So I would put a sub underneath that hit there to give it a little bit of extra oomph, so to say. And when you know the tools you have at hand in your libraries, I usually or oftentimes use like the boomer effects from Metropolis 2. That one sounds pretty good to my ear. So I would bring in that just on the one. And also oops, accidentally so like this. So when I now solo, it's a nice low end there, but when I add the other one, there's just some little from the bottom that helps it to have a little more weight there. So let me play that again, one time without. And again with. And for example, in this moment here, I have more percussion going on. I don't feel that I need that low end anymore. We're coming in with this guy on the one. I don't need any more low end here because that is already covered in this area that we just tweaked a little bit. Because it would clash with the other instrument that is coming in. And the same, well, that track is too short and too easy structure to make more decisions like that. But for example, the guitar is very laid back and very relaxed. But if it were to do more, I would change that is the original sound. And that is the tweak. Just compressing a tiny little bit to tweak the... Yeah, it was a preset actually. I just chose a preset electric guitar. No, my send reverbs are not all the same. I send the reverb depending on how much reverb I need to send for the instrument and how much room I want to have on top of it. So if I take the sends off, so it's just a tiny amount of like a spacious bubble around the sound that gives a little bit of definition. And if I look at the values, the reverb is at -20, the delay is at -30. So it's if you would put that to the extreme with the delay. So it's actually like the U2 delay. It's a 8-dotted delay that I have there set up, but it's totally fine to put it on a very subtle value there. But when I take it off, it just gives that little extra movement, which is just very subtle, but it is enough to, as I've said, give that little reverb bubble around the sound that puts it a little bit more into a space. And on the vocals, I also just used a preset. Hey Remco. We can see that the whole high frequency range is a little bit underrepresented in the whole track. That is kind of a little bit a decision on purpose because I just don't use much high-end elements in the whole track. So if I would feel that it feels unbalanced to me, I would actually like bring in like a right cymbal or a hi-hat or a shaker, something on top of what we have going on in the percussion here. But I also trust my ears and I actually like the way it sounds, so I don't feel that there's much missing in the high end. You could try to push it a little bit with a clariphonic, for example, and say instead of some presence, let's try to give it some shimmer. See if that sounds better. So this area is just very underrepresented. Sorry, this area here. But I also don't feel it needs much more. Whereas the bass is a little bit overrepresented. But actually for this type of track, I do like the sound. And then what also helps a lot is like creating movement in the mix. I did a very subtle panning effect on the background vocal here to just moving back and forth a little bit. So like that. And on the pad, did I do anything on the pad? I think I just did a little bit of low cut. I put some saturation on top. Let's just quickly see. I don't even know what I did there. Yeah, so the low cut filter cleans up the low end. That's another thing. If an instrument does not need the low end information, keep the low end area for the instrument that need it, like the subboom and the bass that is actually very low. So anything else that in this case is for the pad, it's like even everything below 250 hertz. The pad doesn't need to sit there to transmit its information. The core of the, if we take a look at the Pro Q3, which gives us, Pro Q3. If we take this one, that's the wrong one. This one. So there we go. It's a VST3 version. So just for the pad alone, let me take off the sheps that we had here. So that's the initial sound out of the contact instrument. And this whole area is not needed for the sound. The sound information is actually in this area. This is where the definition of the sound is. So if I were to tweak that sound, I want to get rid of the low end. And now that plugin above does a low cut at 260 hertz. This area here is very muddy and just not necessary for the sound. So when we take that off, it leaves more room for the low frequencies of the bass, for example, to come through, and also from the percussion. Funny enough, that bass has no treatment at all. Maybe that's the reason why we are pretty bass heavy. But again, if a sound is good, then you don't need to treat it. So yeah, and again, then it comes down to decisions about arranging, and I strongly believe that arranging is more important than any mixing at all. So if your arrangement doesn't work, then your mix won't make it better. You need to have your track sound good, pretty much, even without any mixing at all. Then you did something right. And only then you can start to fine-tune the elements of the mix and see how to make them sit nicely with each other. That's what I would put it like. And once you have that, you're pretty much already there 80% of the way, and the rest is just the usual bells and whistles. It's the same when you're sitting in a band, and when a band works on a track in a practice room, for example, and they rehearse a verse section where the drummer dials back, and just imagine both guitarists play a riff, and then the vocal comes in pretty quietly. You would not keep the guitars running full throttle over a more quieter section. You dial that back, you arrange it. Maybe just one guitarist is playing something, the other one is playing fill-ins. And when is he playing the fill-ins? Of course, when the vocal is not singing. So you leave space, you have an interplay between the different elements. And that's what I try to do with virtual instrumentation as well. To leave room for the elements. I don't know if I totally succeeded with that in this track because it's too short and it's already late and I'm tired, but you get the idea. Anyway, long story short, that was I need to drink something. That was a long monologue there. I'm sorry. But yeah, this is the little track we did closely with just Ethera only. It is. The only thing is this damage percussion set here and this damage percussion set. If I mute these, then we have... No, and the loop was damage as well. So if I loop that, this is Ethera only in the percussion. No, we have everything. How do I do that? Bop, 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 bop. So now we have Ethera only. And the same thing with the darbukas here from Damage. They add some... when I brought these in, I wanted to have some middle ground, some middle frequency range, so neither low, not really high. To fill out some of the percussion field. And the same thing on the decision why we have that loop down here. I hope I don't tell shit. Oh, I mean, that has a lot of low frequency energy as well. But it just works. Sometimes it is like that. I think it just sounds nice together. By the way, this would be an example for... I left out the synth pad here in this section, so... Because kind of fighting a little bit with that vocal effect sound here. So why not in the next section to have a little more room and make it a little more shine and hear that more? I just leave out the synth pad, so that has more room. I mean, it still overall comes down. And And then I stop the arpeggio here. And just to not lose interest, that's the only place in the whole track where the actual harmony changes, where I'm not going A minor to E minor, A minor to E minor, but changing to F major here, and then to A and G major. Just on this section, that's the only thing where it changes. So just to keep a little bit more interest, suddenly whoops, something is different. Hey Xander. And again, here I would say we could bring in that sub from the beginning to kind of have a full circle. That effect with the vocal, that was more or less just a happy accident because I moved that back and then just repeated it, but I kind of liked the way it sounded. Also repeat that sub here. I'm missing a little bit of a hit on this ending part. We could also place that actually looking for the bukas. So I feel that we can put that I think that's a quarter note. Yeah. So we can 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Just a tiny element to give a little bit more closure. And we have that sub as well. And we have that little riser symbol thingy. And that's enough for me to define that little ending there. And one last thing that I would do is actually that synth here in the end. I feel that we can bring the volume down a little bit over time, but just on that ending. So we start here. So let's bring that down significantly. Actually, it needs a little more curve like this. So yeah, that is pretty much the whole piece there. I do like how that turned out. And it's pretty much Ethera only, besides a few damage patches, and that's it. So I don't know if Stefano is still around, but I think, dude, you did an amazing job. And whoever got it already, rejoice and celebrate. Who hasn't gotten it yet? Why? One of the very best libraries that is out there. That's all I can say to that. So I give you a full final listen through. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for taking the time. And if you want to, there is some information below the video description. First of all, of course, if you have not yet, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you don't have yet. There are some links to interesting resources in the video description, like my Discord server where you can chat with other composers and talk about your music. There is a link to my Patreon if you like to support what I do. Much appreciated. Thanks for all my patrons. You will see their names pop up in a second. And by the way, if you want to know the URL, that's the one. And other than that, see you tomorrow for a nice little giveaway stream. Tomorrow we take a look at UVI World Suite 2. And we will also do a giveaway for that. That's nice. So you can win the library. And on Friday at 11, we take a look at Performance Samples Oceania 2. That's going to be good as well. So without further ado, thank you very much for tuning in today. And I wish you a wonderful evening. Enjoy the track. I hope you like it.